So today we're going to start working on getting the Grasslands pack in. Geez, it's raining really hard. I'm not quite sure where to start that out. We haven't finished our Twilight pack. I know I want something here. I just don't know what I want. We only have one animal left, so I know I want it to be here, but I'm really thinking I want a restaurant or something here to go along with it. So my brain is thinking about this, so I'm just not going to build anything here until I know what I want, basically. I do notice now that we don't have pathing for here laid out properly, so I'm just going to fix that real quick. Oh, it won't let me. Well, that's interesting. Okay, can't fix that. Not yet. Because I don't think I'm going to keep... I might keep this here, I might not. This might just lead into something completely different. I might turn this into like a little walking area. I don't know. Ooh, this could be a good place for the butterflies to go, actually. Like a transition. The new pack. That could be interesting. Maybe if we get rid of these and move these just over here or something and put the butterflies here, that could be really neat. Ideas. Or maybe keep these bugs here and put the butterflies here, like have two different areas they could come through. Or I could even move the butterflies to back here. That could be a good idea. Or maybe butterflies right here in the beginning, like right toward the entrance. Alright, so let's think about that. So if we're gonna have butterflies, I want it to be this big one here. So I don't want solid. What if we had wire mesh walls all the way around? Kind of like so you could see through, but not, but they couldn't escape. The funny thing is now when I went to a butterfly sanctuary, we were able to, it was a really long winding path of all different kinds of butterflies, and it was a huge, like almost cave-like dome of mesh, and it was beautiful. And I'm wondering if we can kind of create a similar atmosphere. Can we do something like that? Like side by side? It looks like we can. So if we put it like, this, and then put pathing connecting all of them, and then we could create like a little sitting area over next to it, right? I wonder if that would work okay. And I do kind of wonder if we can put them side by side like that. If it would allow, now I'm kind of curious. What if we did it like that instead? Would that be doable? Like, would that even be an option? If I can get these slid over far enough, can I make a huge butterfly sanctuary? This is all experimental. I don't know if I can actually do this or not. So keep in mind, I'm not sure if this will work. This is us trying to learn and play with the new bag. Maybe bend the rules a little bit on the new pack. There we go. Now the question comes, does it count as escaping if they're not all in the same habitat, etc.? Because I'm gonna have all those walls down. This is where it gets a little tricky. Like, I'm not quite sure what the rules are. So, we're gonna give it a try. We're gonna see. I do need to create something here as a barrier. And then maybe some framing or something with some wood or something. We'll figure it out. I want it to look really nice. But until then, oh wait, can they even come in here? Can people even come this way? Because of the pathing situation? I don't think they can they? But they can come this way. Okay, well that's interesting. Can they come this way? No, they can't come this way. So it let them come through this way, but not that way. That's interesting. And a little strange. So figuring out pathing for this thing was a little more complicated than I thought it was going to be. I do prefer working with the grid if I can, but we all know, if you've played Planet Zoo at least a little bit, you know that's not always the case. It won't always work in your favor, especially if you're trying to refab an old build, which is what I'm doing. Because sometimes some of the pathing or some of the buildings or habitats are in the way of where you want things to go. So I'm going to fiddle around with the pathing quite a bit in this build. I start out like this, which is where I just work with it, take what I can get, and just go for it. But then I realize as I'm going along that I would rather get rid of old path and rebuild fresh, new, and make it the way I want to. This right here is where I'm not liking it because it's the jagged squares that didn't do it for me. So at first I just put the regular pathing thinking, oh, I'll just make this work. But if I'm flipping a zoo, why should I just make it work? Why shouldn't I make it look the way I want it to look in my head? So these corner paths, however, I really like. I like the way they came out. I like the way they lay. So you're not going to see me changing those. The good thing is the alignment on the back end works really, really well for this build. So the nice square courtyard that we have works well. And then I started fiddling with, do I really want a bunch of dirt back here? And I didn't think I did because, you know, butterflies makes me think pops of fun and color, and I was like, I will revisit that and come back to it. I also wanted it to be kind of framed around on the inside of the pathing, from the outside. You'll see what I'm talking about here in a second. I thought this would be kind of cute and kind of nice for framing, because it goes around, I want to say around waist height, maybe a little bit lower than that for most of the guests, and it gives a nice little pop of fun. And it is also brown, which is another reason why I was like, I don't know if I want the paths to also be just this plain dirt color. So you'll see me change that later. But for now, we're going to kind of zoom through and get these pieces put into place. I do make it go a little bit faster here because it can get a little monotonous watching me place these pieces over and over and over again. So yeah, zooming through here, getting the path work all framed out, because I know that I'm going to also put fencing, and that I want in between these little framing bits and the fencing, I want to put a lot of foliage, because when I think butterflies, I think fields of flowers, fields of wildflowers. I think, you know, just multiple flower bits that we could possibly get. I also wanted to keep it to the pathing that is part of this area. So any of the original pathing or the pathing that goes to the outside of the zoo, I was making sure I did not put these framing bits on that. Just kind of give it a little bit of uniformity, and to make sure I'm kind of following suit, following pattern. Which makes it look better in the end when you're framing something, if it all kind of matches the other framework. And this is me thinking about how I'm laying it out and whether or not I want the pathing to be right here like this. It's all going on in my head while I'm doing this, and yeah. You're gonna see me fiddle with this quite a bit, and this is where I'm like, this pathing just doesn't work. And I started to put the framing there, and I realized, oh, wrong place, it doesn't go there, and moved it to the exterior, and I was like, wait, it doesn't go over there either. And because there's no pathing in that very front section that goes toward the front entrance of the zoo. And this is where I mentioned I was going to change the coloration of the courtyard back here. I was playing with different things, trying to see if I wanted it to be two-toned, single-toned, whether I wanted it to be wood. And then I saw these little log piece wood pathing, and I thought it looked kind of perfect because it looks kind of stony but wood at the same time, and I thought that was absolutely perfect for what we were going for. I thought it would go well with all the foliage we're going to be using throughout the build. So once more pathing joys. I cannot move this power junction. I need it to be here in order to power a lot of the things right here in the mid area. So I need to make that work with our pathing. So basically, I didn't want to feel forced to live in the past and work with something we've had previously. Now, I do know that in the Zoo series, I did change some of this pathing, but I was never committed to it. It was just kind of a change. It was a change as we were going along, just to kind of give us a path so people could continue to walk around while we were flipping the zoo. So knowing that I wasn't committed to it, I don't have an issue with deleting some pathing and redoing it and revamping it. Because I know that I want the corner pathing to be similar to the ones we had in the back, where I want it to outstretch and maybe even go to both directions, or to scoop up a major level of it. So this is just me kind of fiddling around a bit. I didn't like that little gap that was left there, so I deleted that. But the stairs that are right there are going to force that gap. So unfortunately, I've got to kind of work with it and figure it out. So you're going to see me deleting quite a bit, moving quite a bit, changing quite a bit until I figure out how I want it. So this is just me getting the path lined up with how I want it specifically to go from one side to the other. And that's what I was really wanting. I was wanting that nice, smooth, I guess, run from one side to the other. And now I'm trying to figure out this part. Where I end up kind of making a really wide path. You'll see me fiddling with it here in a second to connect the two, and I feel like it really gives a nice transition into that area. So then I have to go back to the pathing we're using for the habitat, because I've got to be very careful to make sure we're using the proper pathing for each location so they don't end up with that mix of pathing again like I did previously, which I'm not always the most careful with the pathing. So, and then we're back to framing. So we're going to continue to frame this, and you'll see me fiddling around with it some more. But all of this fiddling is to ensure that we have the framing we want and the pathing we want. So because once you have the framing and the pathing worked out, it kind of gets a little bit easier as far as the build goes, because then you've just got to make the build, you got to fill with foliage and make it pretty and make it workable. The pathing and the framing typically are the hard parts of the build, of any build, honestly, at least in my opinion. Once you get this part tackled, the rest just kind of comes like flowing, for me anyway, as a builder. So I wanted to get that little power conduit, the solar power, a little bit closer to the habitat so that we can frame it off with maybe some rock work or foliage, which we'll do later. Right now I'm just trying to get this pathing correct, so I'm just smoothing out the area, fiddling with it some, and then of course I realize it's the habitats. The habitats are just too close to properly lay out the pathing. So no worries, just moving things around. I checked to make sure the Komodo dragons weren't anywhere close to that edge so that I could move things faster and easier. The bears are obviously more easy to see, so I did not see them there. So just fiddling around with the pathing, trying to figure out where the center is that I want it to be so I can attach it. And then you're going to see me do all this, and then you're going to see that I realize it's in the wrong place, because the pointy end of the entrance and the pointy part of the path is where I want it to meet, because I want the points to, I guess, flow is the best way to put it, which I know is probably nitpicky, but that's how I wanted it. So because I wanted it that way, I needed to fiddle around with the pathing until I could get it to work just the way I wanted to. Because once again, when you're flipping the zoo, when you're trying to get it from something drab to something fab, you've got to be willing to move and delete things that you weren't planning on moving and deleting in the beginning. This area, I realized I kind of don't even think I want pathing there anyway. I think I'm gonna put staffing there and attach all the habitats to the staffing in one section. So basically having all the entrances come from that one staffing area, similar to what we did over with the monkeys and the flamingos and stuff like that, where all of the staffing's right there tucked away. So knowing that I'm going to do that, I decided to just go ahead and delete that path. So now we're back to framing and making sure everything looks good before we start our foliage. All right. So we've got the pathing figured out. Now I just need some outer fencing and then some foliage. So I was thinking of these fences. Would work perfectly over here. I just figure that since these fences will be along some of the same lines as the other fences, that they will flow cohesively. And I really actually like these fences. I know they're a little loud in some parts, but I think that is a nice pop of color, and I like it. I like that it's a little loud, just in little bits, just enough, I guess you could say. Now this section right here, I know I'm kind of bringing the fences out a bit, but I think I'm actually gonna turn this into another small habitat, maybe a small animal that could fit in here. I can't recall whether which animal I want to put in here right now, but I feel like we could put a small animal right here, something the size of a meerkat or something like that. We already have our meerkats placed, so it will not be meerkats. This is me trying to figure out the pathing and how I can make this work cohesively, because this place over here is a little bit of a mess. But I like the way I have this section laid out, so I do not want to repath this section, and it would literally delete everything, which goes also to our twilight area. So instead, I decide just to kind of fidget with the fences a little and make it work. and I can cover up that janky bit with foliage or a building or something. So I'm not stressing over that section. That's a tomorrow problem, not a today problem, because we're not doing the habitat right now. So when I do put a habitat here, I'll fiddle around with those pathings, with the with the pathing a bit more. For now, I'm just making sure the fencing is in place so that we can put a cap on this habitat. So now we're going to put the fencing on this side, which matches the fence where I pulled the fences from, which is fabulous. And then inside the fencing, in between the framing and the fencing, is where we're going to put foliage. It's going to look fab, just fab. I'm excited for it because I think foliage is like the icing or the fondant of a cake. It is the finishing touch you need to make your habitat look like powerful or pizzazz. It's just, I love foliage, especially when I think about the butterflies, because the butterflies are so colorful and so pretty. I really can go a little crazy, a little wild with this foliage. So I'm really excited about doing it. This little bend here was a little funky as far as the fencing goes, so I do fiddle with it for a little bit. I do get it looking, I think, good in my opinion. Which sometimes when you're using custom fencing, it can be a little frustrating getting all this just the way you want it, but I got it in the end, and that's all that matters. At least I think that's all that matters. So we're just gonna use some of these smaller bars and just kind of copy paste and kind of move them around and make them fit, or at least make them fit as good as possible. You will see me fiddling with them several times. I know I could have just deleted me fiddling with that, but honestly, I think it's healthy and good for you guys to know that not everything works perfectly the first time you try it. Sometimes you gotta try again. So we're just laying these branches out, and I'm okay with it being a little crooked, a little weird, because they're custom fences. They're supposed to be a little crooked and a little weird. So the final framing is the front area here, which I'm not making it match the pathing perfectly, because I'm thinking I'm going to put some educational stuff right there where that empty area is, and maybe even a rock or two. And once again, another fidgety area where the fence doesn't quite fit, but we're going to make it fit. We are going to make it work. And it's okay. It's okay that it's not perfect. Once again, foliage, rocks, or whatever can fill out any areas where it's not perfection. And then of course framing along the inner pathing areas. And yeah, I think this part turns out really well once I'm done with it. So out of curiosity, how many of you use custom pathing or custom fencing? Do you guys do that in yours too? I would love to know. Answer down in the comments below what you do with your pathing or framing, and or tell me your favorite part of the build so far. I would love to hear it in the comments. We all know that it helps build the algorithm, you know. Help build that algorithm. If you're not already subbed or anything, please do smack that sub button. It does help. It is free to do, easy to do, and it really helps me out in the long run trying to build the channel. So now we're doing a little bit of modernization with the habitat itself. I figured adding some wood slatting would give it those finishing pop touches that I wanted with this build. I didn't want to go too crazy with the habitat with a lot of framing, structuring, building, construction. I kind of wanted it to be simplistic and modern. So I think these wood slats really bring out that modern twist that I was looking for. And then we're going to do some faux flooring here. It's just faux pathing where they can still walk over it, but then I give the illusion that you can literally cross from both areas into the other into the other sections of the habitat. Some of that, of course, is not going to work as far as pathing goes, but it gives the illusion that it does, and that's what I'm going for. Because in the end, I want it to look good. And these walkthrough habitats are still really new to me, so I'm not quite sure how they work logistically as far as the possibility of escaped animals, since it is an option to not have any barriers or whatever on the exhibit itself. So I have no idea how that works. So just to kind of, I guess, take a cautionary step, I am putting some mesh in between the slatting. This can either just be for looks or it might actually be functional. I'm not quite sure. Like I said, I'm still really, really new to these walkthrough habitats. I mean, pretty much everyone's pretty new to them. They're still a relatively new concept. They've been out since October. So still getting used to the way they work. I'm one day I should just build one with no walls whatsoever and see what happens. I think that would answer my question of escapability. I also felt like that solid roof was not doing us any favors, so I went ahead and put glass roofing on the top, and then I decided that maybe the chain link fence mesh wasn't going to work, so I put netting on the insides of the habitat or the exhibit rather, because I thought it worked better with butterflies, and it also kind of gives it this glossy, glassy look, and I really like it. I think it makes the modern pop even more. So one issue I've noticed since doing this, because I looked earlier today when first starting this exhibit, and I'm looking now and realizing there's not a lot of butterflies in the market. Like, they are pretty non-existent. I managed to snag 2 for our exhibit, which is not a lot of butterflies. So off camera, I am going to be adding butterflies as I find them. I still can't find a female American bullfrog. Like, those have also been really elusive as far as getting them into the habitat goes. But we're gonna keep at it. We're gonna keep looking for butterflies. We're gonna keep looking for female American bullfrogs, and along the way, we're gonna do some foliage. I think the foliage really makes these walkthrough exhibits pop. I think it's amazing that we can actually dress these ourselves versus having to take whichever stamp the computerized version gives us as far as the interior goes. So I take full advantage of it and decorate the heck out of it, especially when it comes to butterflies, because we can just have like flower palooza in here, and it's amazing because the butterflies will appreciate it. They will 100% love all of the flowers and the freshness and the nectar and the pollen and all of that goodness. So fun fact, I've actually been to a butterfly sanctuary, and if you ever get a chance to go to one and you want to have the butterflies land on you, now you gotta be very gentle with them. You don't want to hurt them or anything. But if you just want them to like land on your hand or your wrist or whatever, like especially if you're planning on taking photographs with your loved ones or whatever, and you want to have a butterfly or two on your person while doing it, you can actually take some banana and rub it on wherever you want the butterflies to land. Do this very gently though. Just remember, they do have powder on their wings and such, and you can't harm them by grabbing them. So don't grab the butterflies. Let them delicately land on you. And what they'll do is they'll nom on some of the banana that you've put on your skin. And it kind of tickles a little bit, but it's kind of fun to do, especially if you have little ones. They will find it completely magical to have butterflies landing on them. Yeah, so little tidbit. I didn't know if you guys knew that. So I learned that from going to a butterfly sanctuary. One of the keepers asked if I'd ever had butterflies come to me on purpose, and I'm like, no. Usually I get lucky, and they're like, here, let's solve that for you. And they pulled out some banana and rubbed it on the top of my wrist, and it was so cool because immediately I had like 3 butterflies on me, and I was like, what? And yeah, so just be very gentle though, because you don't want to grab butterflies or pinch them, or basically you don't want to grab them. Let them come to you, because their wings are very delicate, and they also have powder on their wings, which technically interesting fact isn't actually dust at all. It's actually scales. They're little tiny scales, and they have a lot of different purposes for butterflies. They create the bright colors that can signal mates or act as camouflage, basically allowing them to blend into their surroundings. They also tell predators that the butterfly doesn't taste good or could even be poisonous. It's like an advertisement of, hey, don't eat me. Dark colors in the wings could be helpful for the butterfly to gather warmth from the sun. So, because butterflies are actually cold-blooded and need warmth from the environment to fly and look for food. I know a lot of weird stuff about butterflies, but yeah, so I hope all these little tidbits help you enjoy your butterfly species, especially if you get to interact with them out in the world. If you've never been to a butterfly house or butterfly sanctuary, they're really beautiful, fun places to visit. I highly recommend going to one at some point in time because they're super, super fun. If you are in the United States, there is actually a really cool one. There's one in Florida that I know about, and there's also one in California that I know about that I've been to both. I did prefer the one in Florida because it also had a huge like dinosaur exhibit right next door, and I also have a thing for dinosaurs. So all in all, it was a very well-rounded trip for me. Yeah, so this is just trying to pick out different foliages that I want to go in here. And then I was like, oh, fudge, I have not done the outside whatsoever. I wish I had kind of been jumping in and out of the building so that I didn't have to go back through and grab foliage from the inside and put them outside, because I wanted to all be a 100% wildlife flower like scale, like crazy beautiful painting smattering of these flowers. These cornflowers are probably some of my favorite. I've been kind of using them as like the quote unquote carpet or the backsplash of the foliage outside. I used some similar foliage inside, but I had not put the cornflowers in yet, so I added those. There's also, see, buttercups is a really good one and adds a good splash of color. And I think it's Aria is the other one that's also got a big splash of color, which you can use kind of as palette bracing or backsplash for all your other flowers. And also if you want to have a mix of colors, which is what I did, you can put all three. And you can just kind of layer the flowers and get all of that brown just fully covered in. Or green, if you have green grass, you can get it fully colored with a smattering of flowers. I do also end up putting in some African daisies because of the bright pink really plays off of the soft, dull colors a bit. And then the buttercups were also some of my favorite because they were just bright and vibrant and really made the rest of the flower beds pop. I also really like the white flowers that come in here. Trying to remember the name of them right now, and I can't. My brain is just not remembering. But they're also super, super beautiful. And I think I'm going to use them here in a moment. But then I also realized I needed to frame out this this power area. Because the mechanics only need to be able to access the front. So you can literally do whatever you want to the back or the sides or whatnot. So I framed it fully in rocks because, you know, that's totally what would happen. They would totally cover all of this in rock. I mean, maybe they would. A faux rock or something like that would possibly be used, something that could be lifted or moved easily. I could see that happening. I did not use the faux rock. I used real rocks. We can pretend that they're faux rocks. These are the flowers I was talking about earlier, the big pops of white, really pretty. I think I'm putting down more cornflower here. And yeah, just grab different colors, do different things. The fairy fans are absolutely vibrant and beautiful, big, beautiful pops of purple. I also felt like we needed one or two more trees out here, so I kind of put them to one side because I knew that I wanted to put something else on the outside of this house, which you'll see momentarily. And this is where I grabbed the African daisies, which I said were bright pops of pink. Just really, I think they finalize this garden really well. Like they make them pop with that one vibrant color that you need. But yeah, so lots and lots of flowers, wildflowers galore, because that's, I think, what would definitely come to fruition in a butterfly sanctuary, a butterfly habitat. Lots and lots of flowers. I think these fairy fans were amongst my favorite. And while I'm building this, while I'm sitting here editing this, I actually realized that to the left, which is going to be where that other new habitat is does not have any flower beds, does not have any kind of framework of color whatsoever, and it's kind of dull. I think I'm going to end up for the next habitat, when we do the build, I'm going to start with flower beds and add some color there, because I am realizing now, watching back, that it's lacking. Everything else has got pops of color and is framed in all these beautiful shades. The cool thing is I'm already getting kind of ideas for that flower box. I might make them like varying heights and kind of like maybe a wall feature for the courtyard area to kind of give the courtyard more of a pizzazz look. I might even add more tables. Not sure yet. We'll figure it out. And I'll leave like little sections open, maybe for like people to be able to view the animals. But these are all things that are just going through my head right now. I haven't really decided 100%. But I love when I'm doing stuff like this build, and the creative juices just start flowing, and I get sort of excited about the next build. So yeah, that's super exciting. That's what I was hoping for, to be honest, because I love the Twilight Pack and I love the build that I was doing in there, but I kind of got builder's block. It's kind of like writer's block, but builder's block. Like I didn't know what to do in the next section. So, and I didn't want to feel forced to add that last Twilight animal when I wasn't, I guess, creatively prepared for it. So I'm hoping that by starting in on some of this Grasslands pack and doing the butterflies and maybe this next section, it'll kind of revitalize the creativity for me, and I'll be able to polish off the Twilight area and make that really pop and make it all sing, while also working on this area. I am absolutely loving the packs that are coming out, the new animals that we're getting, all the fine-tuning that we're getting with the animals. And the other thing I cannot wait for, that I'm really hoping is coming, because we now have walkthrough exhibits, is going to be birds. If we get blue macaws or cockatoos, all of these wonderful birds that I absolutely love, parrots, maybe some Brazilian parrots would be nice. I will be over the moon. I know I've probably said it in almost every video. I want birds. Because I will say, I think my most fun I've ever had at a zoo or at a sanctuary, that I've been to a few in my life, but the most fun I've ever had is when the educational speakers bring out the birds and they want to do like a show, or they want to just talk about the birds or whatnot. And I would love to have an area dedicated to birds in the zoo. So I'm actually nervous about finishing the zoo and then they bring out birds. It'll probably be my luck, because we're actually getting close to the end of flipping the zoo. We only have the bears to finish out, which we might even just take out the bears completely and put them in a whole new area. I do want to put a safari in. I'm not quite sure what I want to do with a safari yet, but I was thinking of maybe a gondola ride over the safari would be kind of fun, be kind of neat. Because the staircase that goes up a million years and is super, super long and crazy is not quite what I was looking for as far as a safari goes. So we'll see how that works out. I've been trying to think of what I wanted to do with a safari, because I do want a safari. I think I want it to be a little less ginormous, basically unviewable, unenjoyable. I felt this butterfly house really needed a sign. Like, it needed something. It needed to pop somehow, and I wasn't quite sure what to do with it. So I felt like it needed this one last pizzazz piece, so people could see from far away what it was, versus just a house of glass. They could tell what it was when they were walking up to it. I made it look kind of like a little tree or a little cloud. I was thinking treetop, like you used to draw when you were a kid. A little green treetop would look kind of neat. Just doing the finalization on the sign, and then we're going to add some butterflies to it and make it really, you know, stand out. I'm contemplating whether I should go back and put signs on any of my other habitats that I have created. Let me know what you think, or I could even just do something like Twilight Park or something like that, or Exhibit Castle, or I don't know. I've been trying to just think whether I want to or not. Let me know what you think about that in the comments. Let me know if there's an animal you would love to see me add. Have I not added your favorite animal in? Let me know. I do think I want to put the wildebeests in. I might even put them in the safari I was talking about. I've got to see which animals work together and which ones don't. I definitely want to build some sort of a watering hole, because I know, thinking about Lion King, it's a very important thing is for animals to all gather at the watering hole, so to speak. I would also like to bring in the hyenas, because you can't, you gotta polish off everything with hyenas, right? So yeah, this is getting really exciting. If you have not gotten the Grasslands DLC, it does come with a few new animals. It comes with the maned wolf, the emu, the caracal, the red-necked wallaby, the 9-banded armadillo, and striped hyena, which is what I'm excited about putting in toward the end, and the blue wildebeest, as well as these beautiful butterflies. I'm thinking maybe in that little habitat area we built recently, like right out front of these tables, could maybe be the armadillo. That could be an interesting little habitat. What do you guys think? Let me know. Because I don't think they need much space. So looking at our butterfly exhibit, got plenty of seating on the outside. Granted, half of them don't match, but we'll worry about that later. Actually, no, I'm gonna worry about it now. Delete, delete. None of these match, but it's fine. We'll just put some out that match. Then of course we have to add in trash cans, because we do not want them littering inside of our inside of our exhibit. And I do realize I didn't put up very many donation bins, so I think I'm gonna need to put those maybe at each entrance area. But we'll do that. We'll do that next time. I did not do it during this build. Sorry about that. And education is always super important in any build. I try to never forget education, although I do forget it from time to time. So I always say that every time you build 2 or 3 habitats or exhibit areas, pause for a minute, look at your big screen and look at education. Hit the H button and look at your basically your hot screen for education, and make sure you're covering education really well everywhere. Every animal should have some sort of education. This is where I was like, I'm not sure I'm done with this, but it's looking so good. I love this butterfly house. I hope you guys have really enjoyed it. We'll continue on with our Grasslands pack next time, and I'll see you guys later. Bye. I hope you guys liked it. Please subscribe. Thank you so much for coming. Ring that bell. All those really cool YouTube things. And I'll catch you guys in the next one.